or you don't have a perceived weakness, doesn't mean you're healthy. It's about being optimal. So these are the ingredients for being healthy, right? So what are the ingredients for maximizing your potential in terms of productivity and efficiency and effectiveness, or overall performance at work or at home or elsewhere? What are some of the ingredients?
Goal.
Setting goals. So your mental state. What else? Priorities, values, objectives, motives. Sure. Again, mental states. What else? Whether you're eating well, or whether you're hydrated or not hydrated, you'll see that if you really think about it, there's an overlap between the ingredients to being well and the ingredients to maximizing your performance. So if I ask a professional soccer player, when you function at your best, what are some of the ingredients? I bet you he'd have an eating routine, he'd have a stretching routine, an exercise routine, a mental routine, a visualization routine, a setting goals routine. You see there's an overlap? Is anyone making the connection? Great. So, an important part of the human body, the part that controls and coordinates all other systems of the human body, is called the central nervous system, right? And we know that the central nervous system, how do I use the pointer part? Oh, must be a laser? Okay, it's okay, I'll just point my hand. So, we know that the brain sends electricity, kahraba, right? Down the spine. And then the signals in the spine go left and right, here to the head and the neck and the arms, this part to the heart and lung, liver, spleen, ovary, gallbladder, you name it. And the lower part of the spine goes to the back and the legs. Can you see that, everybody? If you understand that, please raise your hand. Okay? The signals also go back from the legs and the back, the heart, lung, liver, spleen, organs, arms, neck, and head. They come back into the spine, and like an elevator, they go all the way back up until they reach the penthouse, or the brain. That's how the brain and body become well connected. So whenever you set goals and you visualize and you want to be productive and efficient, it has to do a lot with the state of your nervous system. If there's an interference in the nervous system, did somebody say something? If there's an interference in the nervous system, then you're functioning less than optimal.
How fast is it?
270 miles an hour.
200?
That's how fast it travels. Faster than a Ferrari? I think so. From head to toe, 270, that's how fast it goes. Okay, now watch. Some people want a little detailed chart. It doesn't look so good, okay, because you don't need to read the words, but these are all different names of nerves. But the same idea, you can see that the head sends signals down the spine, goes to the arms, here to the organs, here to the back, and here to the legs. You can see that? You know, as human beings, we've been looking for, has anyone heard the fountain of youth? Would someone like to explain what that means? A fountain of youth. What does that mean? You haven't heard about it? The fountain of youth, people have been looking for a way to stay forever young or youthful. A hanafiye, a fountain that you could drink from and stay young. Do you agree? Well, I can tell you that all the searches outside the human body haven't really turned up much. We've had searches such as creams and lotions and potions and staying hydrated and not getting too much sunlight to look young. But what about actually being young and actually functioning optimally? I believe it's not a fountain, not a water fountain, but an electrical fountain called the electrical fountain of youth, which is this guy. The electricity, as long as it gets from the brain down the spine to every part of the body, to every cell of the body, your probability of functioning optimally is higher. Can you see? You guys can probably understand this in sports, right? That if someone has the nerves that are firing to the legs, that they have the capacity to run at their optimal speed, right? But we don't think about it corporately. We don't think about the fact that if our nervous system is functioning optimally, then we can perform corporately and as a human being in all areas of life. You'll see the connection as we go further. Let's look at this just in a little more detail. Every single fakara, that's not a swear word for the English people, people. It's a vertebrae in the spine. Yeah? Between every vertebrae, a nerve comes out and feeds a different part of the body. So if you look at C1, the nerves here go to the sympathetic chain, including the eyes, the ears, the senses, your glands, your blood vessels of the brain. It goes to the immune system. It affects bone growth, fat metabolism, and reaction to stress. Does that make sense? Watch this. C2, let's look here, C1, C2, blood supply to the head, pituitary gland, which is involved in your hormones. Okay? Bones of the face, brain, inner and middle ears. Okay? Eyes. C2 goes to the auditory nerves, which is your hearing and your sinuses and all these different parts, and your heart to some extent. Does that make sense? That if I take every part of the spine, it's going to a part of the body. Like a corporate vision, the company has a corporate vision, and it needs to reach every single employee, which is every cell of the body. And so the more aligned the vision of the company is with the vision of the individual, the more the company functions at optimal levels. The more that the nervous system is reaching every single cell, the more the body is one. Does that make sense? I'm spending a little time here because this is what everything builds on. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, sir.
Are you telling me that L4, L5 is connected via the nervous system only to those things?
To the lower part of the body, legs and legs.
So this is not some sort of Chinese thing, you're just saying?
No. Exactly.
All right.
What I'm saying to you is that if you have a seatbelt fracture,
Yeah.
where you fracture L3, so one that gets broken in car accidents usually,
Yeah.
then you'll be paralyzed waist down, right?
Yeah.
Can't move your legs. But if you fracture, if you have a cervical fracture, like one of the Buffalo Bills football players in the beginning of the season, first play of the game, he fractured his first two vertebrae,
Right.
okay, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. Because it's a pathway. Think of it like a highway. Here's this, the brain here is Abu Dhabi. And this is Airport Road, which turns into Sheikh Zayed Road. Yeah? And then there's an exit along the way at every location. If you have a broken down car here, it's going to create traffic going this way and affect the heart and lungs. If you have a broken down car here and traffic here, it affects the pancreas. If it has a broken down here, the T10 is going to affect the kidneys, where it is here. Kidneys. See that? So it's not that you're working the feet and that affects, or the ear affects the foot, and the kind of reflexology. This is a nervous system pathway. This is recognized by every profession. The medical profession is where I got this definition from. Okay, controls and coordinates all of the systems and adapts the individual to the environment. So when the weather changes and you start getting sick and you start getting flu-y, that's you not adapting to the environment, to the changes. That means the nervous system is under some stress. All right. You guys are doing great so far. One more chart. Can we pass these around now, gang? Irene? You already have these charts. Oh, great. So this is for your benefits, for your resource you can take home with you. Okay, you can see that every single part of the body is fed by the nervous system. This is not a theory. When we look at dead bodies in school and we open up the body and we look at the nerves, we can trace it. In fact, they put a little pin and then we have to walk in the room and say, isolate, what's that nerve? Where's it going? You with me? We do it, medical doctors do it, chiropractors do it, osteopaths do it, and I think some physiotherapists might be trained that way. Any questions so far? So how does it feel to know, or how do you feel now knowing that we've identified as human beings the master system of the body, and now can you imagine if we learn how to not stress the master system of the body, that we can maximize our human potential and our human performance, our effectiveness and our efficiency corporately and non-corporately, for athletes, for parents, for children, and for people that are working for a corporation. Let's see what some of the great healers have said. First of all, everyone's got these manuals. Usually when I speak, most people don't want to read the book, and I understand that. Afterwards, you can try filling in some of the words, but I left some of them blank, okay, on your charts, but they're here. Let me take a step back, in case some of you want to fill in the gaps. First, Dr. Daniel David Palmer, discoverer of chiropractic, in 1895, a deaf gentleman, partially deaf, had a vertebrae that was in his neck that was misaligned. If you look at your chart, C2 goes to the ears. And so he said, maybe if I adjust this vertebrae and I free up the nerve, maybe he can hear again. And that's what happened. He started hearing again. And that's how chiropractic was born in Port Perry, Ontario, Canada. And now it's the third largest health profession next to medicine and dentistry.